Going. So fantastic. Welcome to another SUP46 workshop. This time around, we have an amazing expert speaker that I know since many years back, and I'm really looking forward to get to hear more about Maral's experience. The basic structure around those workshops is that we host those workshop series. We try to do one per month. The idea is to basically give quick advice and knowledge on how to improve your startup journey. So it's 45-minute plus 15-minute Q&A about. We'll see, like that's up to Maral. She can take the structure, whatever she feels like. And as always, for everyone's best experience, we would love if you want to turn on your webcams, because it gets more fun for us. But keep your mics on mute. That would be appreciated. And we'll add our recordings to our internal library, and we'll share the presentation deck afterwards. And also special welcome to our friends from Stockholm Scale Up program that supports a lot of exciting entrepreneurs. So very happy to have you guys here as well. And thanks to Bianca, my colleague, for coordinating. She'll handle late arrivals and see if keep an eye on the chat and make sure that we keep track on time. So Bianca, when we have half an hour, when we cross the half an hour time or 45-minute time, then you just let us know. Feel free to interrupt at any time. And also when we go to the Q&A part, Bianca will launch a survey, a poll, and we would love to get your feedback so we can keep improving our content and those sessions. Did I miss anything? Awesome. So it's my pleasure to welcome today's experts, Maral Kalajian. Did I pronounce it right? Awesome.
Yes.
And she has a lot of experience when it comes to marketing communication, and she'll dive deeper into that. She's been a coach, she's been an advisor. I've seen her build a community on our social media platform with her bare hands. So I'm very impressed and really happy to have her share her experience here today. She has a deep understanding of the startup journey, and also former Peppy Pals co-founder and Head of Nordics at Nextdoor, and basically a huge experience when it comes to the marketing part and communication part of being and running and building a startup. So leaving the mic to you, Maral. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sebastian and Bianca, for having me. And hi, everyone. Can you hear me, see me well or no? Yes, okay, great. And if you, I don't know, since you left it to me, Seb, about like how we would run the workshop. So if you have any questions, because I'm gonna throw a lot of information at you, one slide after the other, giving you examples and so on. So I want you to just open your mic or and tell me if I don't see you, because I will probably not see you all the time. Some of you have it off. It's okay, no problems. I sit in digital meetings most of my day, so I know it's not always fun to show your face in front of your screen or look at it. But if you have any questions or you want more clarifications, please just open your mic and let me know. You don't have to wait until last minute. Okay, so I'm very happy to be here. SUP46 is a very, very dear part of my life and a very dear to my heart, and I can you will hear why. Can you see my slides before the slides are visible? Okay, because it says your screen sharing is paused, so okay, as long as you see it,
yeah, we can see the first page,
now
the picture, but not the slide.
And now you can see the slide or not yet? Smart marketing.
Just the picture.
Okay, then we have a problem. Okay, let me reshare. Yes. Digital world, you gotta love it.
Yeah,
it never works.
So we saw the picture though.
Okay, so I'll start just sharing this slide maybe
Now it works. Yep.
And now it works. Okay, great. Thank you, sir. So,
no worries.
Yeah, so a lot of people, sorry, marketing is a pain for a lot of startups.
So the slide is a little bit to the left now. I don't know if it jumped for you, for the others as well. There we go. Perfect.
Is it better like this? Okay. Okay, I will not do the, I will not then share the presentation like that. Okay.
This works.
Yeah, great. So today I want to talk about marketing, and I like to call it smart marketing because I was sitting in your shoes when I was faced in early stage startups and or a little bit further, and we always have no money, no time, and no resources. So this presentation talks mostly about how can you have all these problems but still manage to do some marketing activations regardless. Who am I and why do I qualify to be talking to you? Let me see here. So I'm Maral. My startup journey in Stockholm startup ecosystem, or Stockholm tech community, as I like to call it, started
Sorry,
in
Maral,
2000.
we didn't see any slide change.
Oh my God, what is happening? Let me stop sharing again. We practiced all this before you guys came on, so.
I broke everything when I forced you to change the first slide.
No,
It's my
it's
fault.
okay. Let me see. Can you see now, like this slide where I have SUP46? Yeah, okay. Hopefully, let me just, can you see this one?
Yeah,
the new,
that works.
okay.
That
Okay,
works.
so now we're okay. Okay, so my journey in the Stockholm tech ecosystem started in 2013, and I was early that year. I was in San Francisco for, let's call it, an inspirational trip where I've learned how to tweet to a hashtag. So I went to a lot of events and met a lot of people in the ecosystem in Silicon Valley. And I was interested to know if there was going to be, like, I was going to come back to Stockholm where I lived, and I was looking for a community where I could also join, basically. And I've heard from a friend about this place called SUP46, Startup People of Sweden, that was just opening. I found the founders. It was the early CEO, Jessica Stark. I messaged her on LinkedIn and she invited me over. And I went there, and I remember very well SUP46. I wish I had that picture with me, but it is on my tweet somewhere. So there was like a bad white sheet instead of a white screen. And they were having some sort of an event. There were no tables, no chairs yet, barely a ceiling. And that's how I first met. But everywhere there was an A4 printout paper where it says, "Nice to tweet you, hashtag Stockholm Tech, hashtag SUP46. And Jessica was kind enough to invite me for the opening party, which was in end of September, early October, something like that. And the first one in 2013. And that's how my startup journey in Stockholm started. And at the lunch party, I met the Peppy Pals founder, Rosie Linder, which was love at first sight. I loved her idea. We were called not Peppy Pals then, we were called E-Kids. So the game that we had was not launched. So Peppy Pals, for those of you who don't know, it's a SUP46 alumni. And it's a platform for kids. Via gaming, we wanted to teach kids at a young age, from 2 to 8 years old, how to train their emotional and intelligence. So Rosie and I met the week after the lunch, and then I started to help her out and also sit at SUP46. And then so I became a co-founder by just helping her out, basically. So and then we launched our first game in April 2014. It's so nice to talk about old days because a lot of things happened. I'm not going to go through every single thing I have done since 2013, but it's all started from there. And I think it's important to remember. I've been involved in a lot of different initiatives from a community level, like SUP46 Femtech, to encourage women in tech. And I have been coaching different accelerator programs and so on. So I was working meanwhile at Philips, which is a corporate, and I did have a good job, a very well-paid job as well. And then I wanted to, but I had the opportunity to come full-time to work in the startup ecosystem. And that was possible because Think, which is another accelerator in Sweden, offered me a job, and I worked there, but only for 10 months. I think it was a dream job, as I said it back then, but at the same time, I felt like I have been doing everything on the side, like a hobby. So like all these initiatives and all these tweets and all these things that I was doing was a hobby. And I felt like I wanted to be more challenged. And that's where I joined WATI. And WATI was one of the best adventures of my life so far from a career perspective. So WATI early stage company where we had an end-to-end platform, hardware and an iPhone, like an app, and you used to install it in your home, and you could monitor everything that is on electricity, how much you were using. So we don't exist, unfortunately, today, but if we had, we would have become like a probably very big. I think we were a little bit unlucky in timing. And then after WATI, I am now currently at Nextdoor, which is it's like a platform for neighborhoods. It's still relatively small in the Nordic. I'm responsible for both Denmark and Sweden, but I've been at the company for 3 years. I have been involved in various global marketing and growth projects as well. Okay, so as you can see, I have a little bit of corporate, a little bit of startups, a little bit of scale ups, a little bit early stage, growth stage, and also now we are a public company at Nextdoor. So we moved. So last year we went public. So also like what happens after the growth stage, and it is quite different momentum in my opinion, like from my own experience, and I have put together some points, and I think marketing and communication is pretty broad. And I've put together these 8 points, seven points that you can actually take with you today and also start applying. And the 8th one is just like some trends for you to think about after this. So I'll try to be as concrete as I can, because I wish someone told me some of these things when I was in your shoes early on. So we will talk about the digital world, branding, PR and comms, community, which is a very hot trendy, like a buzzword. We love buzzwords in the startup world. Partnership, product, and the offline world, and finishing up with some trends. And before when startups I meet founders, usually it's I don't know how many team members you are currently. I hope you would share that with me when you have a question. So usually the founders, or like 3 people, 5 people, up to 10 people. Marketing in the early days falls in tech companies, especially falls into everyone's table. So everyone does a little bit of marketing, and you are all marketing people when you work in a startup or a team that is like in such a small size. And it's always a problem, because like, what should we do? Should we spend money here? Should we spend money there? And then before I say anything, like this is what you should do or you should not do, the best way to start is answering 2 questions. Why do you want to do any type of activations? Why do you want to do any type of campaign? And who are you doing it for? Who are you communicating to? Who is your community and your target audience? So whenever you are forced to make a decision, always remember your why, the objectives, because marketing should serve your business goals. It's not something that you just put on top of everything else you're doing. It has to be integrated. It has to be part of your strategy. So why and your who. Always remember these 2. And in today's marketing, we, of course, like, you probably are younger than I am. I don't see your faces, but like you are more born and raised in this digital world. So it's like more about content. It's more about community rather than like just tools. It's more about experiences rather than ads. It's also something that like you can just put it out there and expect nothing to happen. If you put it out there, people are going to talk to you, are going to talk about your campaigns, so they're part of like co-creating everything that you are also creating. And then it's like it's easier to experiment something, fail and learn fast than just to sit and plan for many years or for many months. So it's more agile, it's faster, and it's all about like content and community. And here's my favorite slide. This is one of my a cartoonist that I love. He launches. His name is Tom something, I think, but he's not known for cartoonist. So he has every Sunday he launches a new cartoon with some article. But this one is absolutely my favorite because like I have this question that people ask me. So what are we gonna do? Where should I start? Let's go digital. Let's open a Facebook page. Let's open a YouTube. This has to be updated with TikTok, of course, and Snapchat and all these new things. So again, like instead of like going just all in digital, you have to understand first, again, your whys and your who. Why digital? Digital is it helps us. You can read faster than I can speak. Compared to traditional marketing, digital helps us reach and talk to exactly who we want. Although this might change a little bit with the transparency and all these new privacy settings, but still digital is a great place for you to get your message out at the right time. And it has a lot of reachability where we didn't which we didn't have in like previous marketing, let's say on TV and all these things previously. And one of the best parts about digital is that you can measure every single click to understand what is happening. And when I talk about digital, it's a lot of things. So of course, like just this section that you can see here, I'm going to go through one by one. This individually could turn into an hour workshop by itself, but I will give you some tips on each one of them. And I think that these things are like important for any startup, either if you have B2B or B2C, tech or non-tech, to have it in place. Let's start with the first point, keywords and SEO, search engine optimization. So if no one has ever heard about you or your company or your services or your products, the way that they will find about you is someone refers them to you, or most probably they're going to search certain keywords to land on your website or on any of your social media pages. So the first thing I would advise you to do is have a set of keywords. And what do I mean by keywords? So Google has a keyword tool that is free to use, and you can see how many volume in a country you can get, how many people search. That's what I mean by volume, how many people search for those keywords. And also there is something called the click rate. So how much of these keywords are valuable. So the higher the cost, usually it means that it converts faster. So if you have like an e-commerce website, you have to start you have to look into those things. But even if you don't have an e-commerce website, you just want to people to find you have to know what are those keywords that you want people to type on Google, on search engines, and come to your website. And to do that, there's also, you have to look at traffic, volume, and also like the value of the keyword. And like let's say one word keywords, like say I'm a community platform. Okay, so if you just write community, you will not if that's your keyword, you're not going to get anywhere. So one word keywords are usually not great. So I would advise you to choose like 2 up to 3, and then have a list of those keywords, 5 to 10 keywords that are important for you, so that when every time you type any type of content, you create any type of content on your website, on your blog, on your social media, in your communication, in your pitch deck, whatever. So anywhere that is going to live online, people will land to your website by linking those keywords to your website. So keywords, 5 to 10 keywords. Number 1, content. It's a pain when you work in digital. Everything is about content. Content could be text, videos, which are now the most popular type of media that you get like exposure across social platforms or digital platforms, and pictures and links and so on. But like copy is important, so you make sure that you have like it's clear your communication when you're writing the copy. But how to create the content, we are not all graphic designers. I am. It's one of my worst skills ever, but like this presentation I have done, it's used by another scale up. Now they are $1 billion, I don't know how many billion valuation, Australian scale up called canva.com. And actually I found about Canva in very many years ago. They were not this advanced then, from a tweet from Guy Kawasaki. So he said that he is like chief evangelist officer or something. I'm like, what is this Canva? It's for people who don't know how to design and do things. No respect to any designers, but like this just gets you create really fast content in an easy way. You could do, there's a lot of things you could use freemium, and it's like it costs I think 1,000 kroner or something a year otherwise if you want to have the pro account. So content creation is made easy using tools like Canva. Also you can do other like video editings and so on. Social media, where should you start? All this chaos with Elon Musk and Twitter, and Facebook is losing also some of its viability. People are looking for other alternatives, and we have like TikTok, and then there's a newcomer every single time. Again, I cannot say to you, you have to be on TikTok, you have to create reels on Instagram, you have to do this or you have to do that. In 2013, Twitter was my platform up to 2000 I don't know, like 2019, 2018. I've used Twitter every day. Not since then, not that much. It was my platform. It worked for me. I knew my whys as a person and the companies I worked for. And also I knew the who. So the people that I targeted, I knew they were on Twitter. We were like a community, like I said, a hashtag community. So today that doesn't exist on Twitter anymore. It's somewhere else. And where it could be on LinkedIn, it could be on Instagram, it could be on TikTok. So it's your responsibility to make some sort of an effort to find the target audience that you have. Where would you find those? Which platforms are they living in? Are they living in TikTok? Are they following TikTok? Are they on Twitter? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Instagram? Wherever they are. So to make sure that you actually find them. And then we have emails. I hate emails, but they work, you know, like CRM, life cycle marketing, whatever you want to call it. Emails, they'd work. But you have to find ways to send an email. So if you could have like, again, like either e-commerce or a platform, or I don't know what type of companies are listening here. Maybe someone has a question about it, you can tell me. So emails, when we send out like emails to our customer base or our community base or our partner base, and they work if we have a very clear messaging. So for instance, if you are a founder and you want to send an email to your early customers, so it's much probability is much higher that if you send it from your own name, let's say Maral from Nextdoor, or like Seb from SUP46, that people are going to open. The opening rate is higher. If you include numbers or emojis or like have a little bit controversial type copy in the title, also that works. Use your pre-header smartly. And also when I open the email, like don't list to me like a lot of things. Just tell me, what do you want me to do? What is there a click? You want me to read certain information? You want me to take certain action? Make sure that as soon as I open your email, whether on the mobile screen or on the web, that I click and I get it. That's for emails. Analytics, of course, you do all these things, but make sure that you measure every single step, every single thing. And by that, you need to have some sort of an analytics tool. So Google Analytics is a good place to start. And then each social media platform has their own tools. Emails, if you use like MailChimp or SendGrid or other email platforms, they also have. Make sure that you have like a very simple dashboard where you track everything to make sure that your data is aligned. And if you have an app, of course, you have like the app tools on how many times they have opened, your weekly active users, your monthly active users, your daily active users, the frequency, registration rate, etc., etc. So you make sure that like you measure what matters to you. Again, like connecting it back to your why and your to who. Influencers, influencer marketing is a very loved marketing in the Nordic in general, and also Europe, I would say, and now globally. It's expensive if you go to very very big ones, but it could be also beneficial and cheaper if you find influencers like ambassadors. Like for instance, I think Seb would agree that I was like one of SUP46 big ambassadors. So I was not getting paid by SUP46 to talk about SUP46, but I have been promoting SUP46 as a hub for our like the home of our community members since day one, because I loved what it gave me as a community member belonging in the thing. But at the same time, there are people like me for your company that are willing, because they love what you do, they believe in you, they would be your influencer. So I would invest more, and this is a little bit like more to the community that I'm going to talk about later on. But if you're going to just go for normal influencer marketing, there are lots of tools that are like you can find based on the size of the influencer and their reach and what do they talk about, the lifestyle or the topics that they have and so on. But it's not cheap. It's not like free that way, but it takes a little bit more time maybe to build a community of influencers who are ambassadors. Paid marketing, if you have some budget to promote, and where would you spend that money? Are you going to spend it on Google ads, like on YouTube, or on search ads? If you want to spend it on boosting a post on Instagram or TikTok, usually in a social media lifespan, sorry. So usually the algorithms are very different, and when they get the user base, they start shifting to more ad-driven algorithms. So TikTok right now is, because it's the newest platform that we have. So organically, you can grow much faster than probably with ads right now, because you have the virality concept. But probably that is going to run out of time at the end. So that's why you need to pay to get visibility on those platforms. And then again, like where you pay, it goes back to who you are targeting with. Don't spend so much money on social ads if you're not sure it's leading to something. I would recommend that like within 2 to maximum 3 weeks, like you would know if you spend 500 kroners a week or 1,000 kroners a week. You would know more or less if your campaigns are working or not. And if they're not, just stop it. And automation.
Sorry, Maral, how do you know after 2-3 weeks? What are the signals you should look for to know if it's like worth, you get the return on that investment?
Yeah, so a good question is that every time you run a campaign on online, you have to have a goal. So it could be like you want to get clicks to a page, so or you want to sell something like conversion to if they actually bought or registered or downloaded your app. That's another way. And then maybe you have a video that you want to make sure everyone views it. So view is another conversion. So it depends on what your aim is with that campaign. You would know that like if you got a certain let's say if when you select on like let's say Facebook or Instagram, you're running an ad and you select a certain group of people, and then it gives you a number of how many people you could reach potentially. So if you reach, let's say, up to 2% and higher, that means it's working. But if you reach like 30% are 30% are clicking but not buying, there's something wrong. You have to stop the ad and like go figure it out what's happening for the user. If they're like clicking and but not downloading, maybe there's something wrong with the app store, or there's something wrong on your website. So it depends on what do you want to achieve. Based on that, you look, and 2% is a good conversion rate to start with. Okay, we'll move on. Branding. Branding is something that is very important to have, but it's something that it takes a lot of time to build, and then the return on the investment when it comes to branding is not directly seen from day one. You have to have patience. So like make sure that you probably are going to change your logo and your name and your tagline a few times until you get to a certain growth stage. But however, what you can make sure is that like you have a certain, I mean, there is a reason why you started a company, and usually as a founder, a group of founders, your brand values are your own values reflected in your company. That's like you started this company out of a frustration, out of a need that you were looking for and you didn't find. So make sure that like you bring that to your value, and then that one is important to have throughout your growth stage as well. Another thing is that how do you want to sound like when you're talking, when you're communicating, and when you're writing copies? Like, do you want to sound like bold? Do you want to sound like, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, you sound innovative. Yeah, but like make sure that the way you want to sound like is actually the way you sound like when you type any type of copy or content. And whenever you're pitching, you're talking to anyone, you're mingling and so on, you are the brand. Of course, storytelling is something that you probably heard a few times even before I speak. Storytelling is important because people relate to people. So if I say if I say a brand did this, it's not as nice as if I say it's someone at the brand. So I name a person. Like if I say SUP46 maybe is a brand, yes, but then if I talk about Seb, if Seb talks about something himself, you are going to relate to him more than just the name of the company. So storytelling, make sure that you get your stories, not just about you, why you started the company, if there's a problem you're solving, why that problem is so dear to your heart, and how much you're going to change the world, or you're going to bring impact by changing X percentage amount. Good to have numbers in those storytelling, but also stories from your user base, from your customer base, from your partner base, etc., etc. And of course, customer experience is important. I have heard a lot, like there's a lot of talent that want to work in your companies, but then when you hear their stories, like, oh, I have sent my CV, but I never heard back. Like everything that you do and you don't do is a reflection of your brand. So make sure that you have like either an automated email or something. So it's not just about like your customers. Branding is everything. How investors see you, how any type of stakeholders see you. It's everything that you do and you say. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit faster because it's 36 already. PR and comms, another topic that is something how we should do or not do. Media loves loves exclusive news, and also unfortunately, if you look at the media today, is more or mostly like, oh, this company got investment in this, whereas like when you as a founder, you feel like you have achieved a lot of good things, but they don't want to pick the news up. So I hear you, I understand, and unfortunately, whatever is considered in your opinion really great may not be a great news title, but it also all depends on how much relationship you build with those journalists, and also how much do you know about what type of news they write. So you probably wanted to be you want to have a list of journalists that you want to have a certain like a relationship with, where not necessarily always pitch, but just like build a relationship with those, so that even if it's not like 100% dedicated to your company's topic, because they are rarely writing unless it's like a big investment round, they can still mention you and your company if they are writing a general topic about the idea, where they remember, aha, I spoke about let's say Seb, I want to talk about co-working spaces or hubs or accelerators or women in tech and so on. So I think that it's important to make a list, 5 to 10, again, my favorite number of journalists, and reach out to them. Even if they're gonna say no to write a story, it's still good to have a relationship and never give up. Just always try to reach. And sometimes it's even better if you go say, what type of news are you looking for? Like, what type of news can I bring to you so that you give me an article or a segment on TV and so on. So it's like you can also be a little bit more proactive.
Quick question there.
Yes.
Sometimes traffic from news outlets are like just temporary bumps in the curve, right?
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about like how to utilize the extra traffic and when it's worth actually investing time in talking to journalists?
Yeah, I think that it's like there's like we spoke about this a little bit like Seb before, right? So I think there's pros and cons to this. So if you know that there's going to be potential article about you, make sure like your website is actually working, and if you want people to download something or register to be the first one to know to download something, that everything is updated, right? So like it's like these bumps are like you in Google Analytics, like you could see like, oh, okay, we got a press mention here. So, but then maybe the traffic didn't generate as much as app downloads or conversion of some sort, but it did generate, you can see that like it did generate a little bit different approach on other aspects, maybe not directly, like PR won't directly give you conversion on day one, but it helps you build a good momentum throughout the time. So I think that it's important to get the bump, but also keep it up, not necessarily only media, but with other sources, like use that content to say, okay, look, potential partners, let's say Digital, the Digital wrote about us, or Breakit wrote about us, or SVT mentioned about us. Like, can we get a meeting? You know, it will help you more, give you some sort of credibility, and use that to take the next step. Does that answer your question, Seb?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thanks.
Community, and I mean, community is like, you know, there was I think you already had someone talk about growth when it comes to like how to grow and everything when it comes to like growth hacking. Growth hacking a couple of years ago was a buzzword in marketing, and today it's not growth. Growth is still part of marketing, definitely, but community is the new kid on the block, you can say. So community driven growth is like, I think it's like something we're going to see for the coming couple of peers. And what do I mean by that? Community is not necessarily only your customer. Community could be anyone who supports you. So it's like people people identify certain hobbies, so certain values, of certain cultures. Like for Nextdoor, it's a neighborhood, it's the location, so they bring people together. They're a community of locals. That's a community for the neighborhoods and so on. But for your case, how can you build a community? And one thing that is a little bit different between community and customers, that for community as a company, you have to give much more than what you take. But then at the beginning, right? So it's like you build that community, you bring people that are believe in what you're doing, have similar vision, or feel responsible towards the case or the topic that you are working on. They trust you, and you trust each other. So it's like a group of people who share same values, basically. And I mean, it depends on, like I wrote here, like belonging, of course. So you have to feel like you belong. Like why SUP46 is so dear to me, because I have built a community, was part of that community, and I was part of also building that community. We each had there were like different pillars when all this Stockholm tech ecosystem started. Like we had the tech meetup, we had the hashtag, we had the space, we had the digital momentum that was going on. So we all had like a different responsibility together, but we shared the same values, and we wanted to achieve the same thing, and together we were stronger. So for your case, like how do you recruit your community members? They will come to you at the beginning when you find them, when you like identify. You are probably one of those community members, so you have to replicate people. How can you find people like you who are going to use your product or your service? And I think like there's a lot of theories that say your first 100, once you find your first 100, and then those are going to replicate. It could be probably true. Like when we were at WATI, we loved our community of early adopters, even though we were late, how many months, I don't remember, to ship the product. But these people had paid money, and we're waiting for our box since like December 2015, before I joined. And then we started shipping in May, or yeah, it was in May, June, we started shipping. And they didn't complain. Like I motivated them by sending them like weekly fun emails to keep them entertained and to keep them upgrade about like, oh, we went to China, we did this, we had this problem. So we were very transparent in our communication. So that's one way to do it, like find a way to communicate with them, but also let them communicate together, and also like moderate the conversations. I think one of the most important thing I want you to remember from this slide is that you can have a lot of people who say, yes, I love what you're doing and I want to be part of it, but they are like, they stay silent, or they're not active. So I think active participation, you want an active community. You just don't want a community. You want people to do something when they are part of your community. And that is a bit of a challenge. But once you find the interest that they have and appeal to that interest and try to engage them, people, the more they get engaged with the product development, with like knowing you, knowing your company, they feel more part of that community, and they will be more actively participating.
Sorry for interrupting. It's been 45 minutes now, so you know.
Okay. Let me see how many slides. Okay, I'll go. I have 3 more slides.
Go for it.
Yeah, and another thing is that partnership. So partnership is very important as well. So it's not necessarily that you get paid or they pay you with partnership. I think it's important to remember that, like, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. It's finding those things that you could, like, bigger companies or bigger corporates, they have a lot of this R&D innovation budgets. Try to find, we suffered a lot with this at WATI, but like it's important to remember that these things take time. like for us, small companies, we can make a decision in an hour and execute it after 30 minutes. We have the capacity, but for bigger companies, it's never the case. They take 6 up to like 24 months until they make a decision. But the most important part is that to find like someone inside the company who is a great part of your community, a great ambassador, a cheerleader for you, and also try to see like what type of objectives you could find that you can, like, even if you're not getting paid by them, but you can get exposure to their user base or partners, or like sometimes banks are good in Sweden. They have all these like magazines that they want to say, let's say, oh, we have partnered with this startup, and here's the story of the founder. As long as you have a bank account at their bank, you could get like exposure to that level. So which is pretty good. It gives you more credibility and builds momentum about your name. Product is the heart of your company or service, product or service. And I think here what I want you to remember is that get a lot of feedback. There's like at Wati we hosted one time drunk user test, which was bring in people to come and test our app and get a lot of feedback. They were Hyper Island and various communication school students, so they were like pretty advanced, and we got really good and harsh feedback that we needed to hear. So sometimes like couple of thousand on, you can have the space and beers, people would come have fun and also give you feedback on like on your apps. Let's say it worked for us, I don't see why it wouldn't work for you. Product marketing is a very important topic as well, especially if you have a platform or app. And I think that like I have been very lucky because I worked with products that were not easy in my lifetime, even like Peppy Pals, Wati, even at Nextdoor. Like we have to, I was forced to always think a little bit like the other way, or find ways to think differently, because like it was a new category, people didn't know why they needed this. So that's why as a marketeer, I had spent a good amount of time on product marketing to try to experiment crazy ideas. And sometimes the answer is like it could be very simple, but you won't know unless you go and ask and try. And finally, the offline world. There's so much, I don't know, I have been a little bit off on the community side of events in Stockholm or Sweden. I don't know if your market is Sweden or globally, but there's a lot of good events and also a lot of award ceremonies. There is a question mark whether you should be part of all these awards or all these events. So my advice would be, remember we spoke about why and who. If part of your who is to get investment and mingle with investors, try to find events that you think if those investors are going to be there, then maybe you should try to be there. But there's lots of like awards. Oh, I don't even remember anymore how many types of lists are there. Don't be fooled by if you didn't make 30 under 30 or 40 under 30. They don't really give what it was listed in a lot of great lists that they came to us. We never paid for them, but we didn't like have a big breakthrough. It did help with good momentum, but like they're not like, don't be upset if you didn't make any of those lists. It's not very important. And also another thing I want you to remember from here is that don't forget the offline world when it comes to like brochures and just traditional, you know, sometimes we went down on streets and gave out flyers. It works sometimes. You can have like a code where they can scan and download, or just like randomly leave on some cafes or restaurants and like put, you're an entrepreneur, you have to hack your way into things. So flyers, brochures, they still sometimes work. Okay, I will stop now. I have a few more things to say, but I will stop and get questions. I hope I didn't give you a lot of headache.
No, it's all good. You can see Bianca throw up the poll now, so please send us your feedback and your input on the workshop. I would love to, like, if there's still time, we have a couple of more minutes. If you want to just, while we keep that poll running, and please give us as much feedback as you can. Do you want to just like quickly mention, because I'm so curious about that specific trend slide. Like, do you want to summarize it in a couple of sentences for us to know, like, what you see from your point of view?
Yeah, I think there's like a couple of things. Like, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, and I think that is going to play a big role when it comes to conversational marketing. It's like I can say, if I come on your website, you would help me and direct me, talking to me with bots, right? So it's not like real people always, how to guide me to a conversion. So we are going to see a little bit more trends on that front. And there's also I read a lot about like the future for advertisement, with all this, like when Apple Store changed their privacy rules. How are we going, because like apps don't track, and Facebook is losing a lot of business also because of that now. So how is the future of advertisement? Some articles suggest that we're going to go back like in old times. I don't know how, like, go back to traditional marketing, TV, and I don't think it's never going to be like, there were TVs and newspapers, they were never really out. It was just like digital was like a addition to it. So it's interesting to see that. And of course, there's we are seeing a lot of changes when it comes to diversity and inclusion, because like, how do we integrate diversity in our communication? I mean, in diversity, it's not like just gender or skin color, it's everything. It's like people who have different opinions, race, religion. There's so much of it, and how do we make sure that we include that in our communication? And that's a very big challenge, because like a lot of companies had faced a lot of big black clashes when we had certain, like, if they had a certain stand on the topic where their brand didn't really represent that. So that is another thing. Videos, short-lived content and videos, I wrote here. They're also videos are like the hottest type of media today, especially short, like TikTok videos, I could say the best. And before it was, there was a phase where it was like just text, and then we had pictures, and now we have the videos. And yeah, we'll see what, and then of course augmented reality, all these things that are coming. I mean, I think like I had a final slide, like, how do you get started? Always remember like your why, for whom, and how are you going to do it? And then like, I love to experiment personally, and I love to try things, even though they may not make sense always. But I think that's the best way you could find your way. And I think like, we as marketeers, we always say, if someone asks a question, we say it depends. Yeah, it does depend, but you have to like dare to take the step, try something, and find what works for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Maral, for sharing that. We have 5 minutes for questions. Do we have any brave person who wants to jump in and ask Maral something? You can just raise your hand as well on the reaction tab if you want to, if that makes sense. I can just, while people are thinking if they want to ask something, I would love to know your recommendation on, so marketing is like, if it's as long as it's not in the offline world, most things are measurable, right? In a real time sort of way. So what type of software, except from Google Analytics, would you recommend if you're building web-based solutions? Like what would you recommend as like basic line software to sort of start measuring traffic?
I think there's like what do you call it? There was Looker, but there's also another one that I've used. Let me remember the name. It's more like a little bit advanced data analytics. Tableau. But I don't think like startups at your member startups would be able to afford those right now. So that's why I keep on saying Google Analytics. And I think that there is no, even with Google Analytics, all the other the advanced data analytics, like at the end of the day, even in a bigger companies, we put everything on an Excel sheet and do our assessments from there. So you need to extract from different sources and then put them together. But I think what's the most important part with data analytics is that you measure what matters to your business, either like to grow or to, if it's brand awareness or it's conversion or if it's registration, to make sure that you measure what matters to your business, because there's a lot of data, right? So Google Analytics, the other sources, and then put them in an Excel sheet and try to understand what's happening. That would be my advice, not a tool.
Got it. So keep it simple, basically.
Yeah,
Nice.
especially at the early stage. Otherwise, you're gonna sit and do a lot of things that don't lead to much.
Yeah. So basically, if you spend too much time setting up like a measurement automated system, might turn out that that's like a waste of time because you want to measure something else when you learn down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at Wati we had the app, and people used to log in quite a lot because they wanted to see. But then we noticed that they log in a few times a day, but they also they log in mostly to see if the box is on or off. So it's the same like on the platform. If you have people logging into your platform app to see if they have what they have done, like it's great. You have a daily active user, great. But what did they do? Did they like unsubscribe from an email? Did they remove something? Did they post something? What type of action you took? So those you're not going to be able to find from one source. You're going to be able to find by looking at the different sets of data and drawing your conclusion from it.
Yeah. Thanks so much. 1 more minute. Anyone wants to jump in with a question? Last minute. Maral, is not that scary.
No, it's not my hair, hopefully. If maybe, I mean, it's usually the case, and I can't see people's faces, so I can't pick them. So if there is any question that anyone wants to ask or anything, you can share my contact information. I can always have I can answer if they prefer privately.
Awesome. So let's wrap it up with those words. Maral, thank you so much for taking your time, and also thanks for those who are joining in to listen in. And I definitely learned a lot today. And we will do more of those sessions going forward. So we'll keep everyone posted with the upcoming sessions. And wishing everyone a great evening and afternoon, and best of luck with your marketing. And thanks, Maral, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Take care.
Take care.
Bye,
Ciao,
everyone.
ciao. Bye.
Bye.